Okay, so welcome back to the channel. In this video, what we're going to be doing is discussing expansion moves, right? How can we find and take advantage of newly found expansion moves? So first, what we want to do is really get a core understanding of what expansion moves are. So essentially, expansion moves happen after a time of retracement where price pretty much pulls back and then gets ready for a major push up. This major push up would be considered our expansion move. The push back downward would be the retracement, which sets up a new expansion moves. And this would be found in bullish trending markets, the same way it would be found in bearish trending markets. So what expansion moves in a bearish market look like would be an impulse downward, a retracement back up to set itself up for that new impulse downward, right? So that new impulse would be the expansion move. And similarly to the bullish structure, we would have a pullback, which would prepare itself for a new expansion downward. So this is essentially what we want to be able to train our eyes to see, right? We want to be able to see those nice retracements that will set us up for those longer moves and impulses out of those areas, right? So the same way we look for buy impulses, we would be looking for sell impulses. So let's go ahead and look at some examples on USD JPY and see where our entries will be located if we're looking for new expansion moves. Keep in mind that expansion moves will most likely be found in trending markets, right? That is where you will be able to see those longer moves and see price trend for a longer period of time. Now, what we're going to do is let price play so we can look at some examples as to what this will look like. Now, what I want to be able to identify are breaks of structures. Breaks of structures are going to be extremely important because that is when we're going to know that a new expansion move has formed. It usually happens breaking a level of previous structure. So at this moment, we could actually see price is breaking above these previous levels, creating an expansion move upward, right? That is the break of structure. That's what we want to be able to identify, is that break of structure, because what we want to look out for now is that retracement back into an area that's going to create a new expansion move. So the three areas that I'm really going to be looking out for after price has broken structure and I'm looking for that retracement entry, I'm going to be looking for points of interest, levels of imbalances, and that break of structure area. These are going to be the three areas that I look for, right? After we get that break of structure or that first impulse, we've identified that new impulse upward. What we want to be able to do is wait for that retracement to come back down, and we're going to look for one of these three things. We're going to look for a point of interest, we're going to look for a level of imbalance, or we're going to look at the break of structure area. In this case, what that area ends up being is here, that break of structure that also has a point of interest with a level of imbalance attached to it, right? So this becomes the perfect area for us to look for potential entries to catch a new impulse upward. The reason being is because since we got this break of structure, we are now confirmed that price is now looking to create its bullish structure, its bullish order flow. So all we're really doing is waiting for price to retrace because we don't want to buy high, we want to buy low. So that retracement allows us to get some discounted areas that matches up with our confirmations, what happen to be points of interest, levels of imbalance, and also that newly broken structure area. So let's just go ahead and map this out here. And we're gonna let price play so we can see how it reacted from this level. So as we can see here, now we're starting to see that full break of structure, and all we're doing is waiting for price to come back to these levels here. We want that full expansion to play out. We don't want to act too early. So we're gonna wait for that retracement, and our entry will be somewhere around this level here, where we can enter around this area here and have our lows below structure, right? Giving our trade some room and expecting a new impulse to the upside. So as we can see, we're starting to experience that as well, right? We're starting to see that price kind of pull on up upward, breaking new structure. So as price breaks new structure, what I want to be able to do is start to look for those areas that we mentioned before. We want to be able to look for either points of interest, levels of imbalance, or break of structure area. Since price did break structure here, but it didn't really cleanly do it and it didn't follow through too much, I won't be looking at break of structure area. I will most likely be looking at points of interest or levels of imbalances that are going to come into play, right? So as price continues to move up, I can trade off of this point of interest here or potentially even this point of interest here, right? Because what I want to see is a bullish order flow being respected. So this is going to be the two areas that are most likely to continue that bullish order flow if price were to continue upward. It would come from this point of interest here, or it would come from this point of interest here. So that trade setup sets there, and now we're expecting a new impulse to the upside. We'll just see how price reacts from these levels here. So price actually comes to test this point of interest here, and shortly after that starts heading on upward to create its new impulse upward, breaking more structure and creating that order flow that we talked about. What we want to note from this video here are some really key simple points. After a break of structure or an expansion move to either the upside or the downside, what we want to be able to do is wait for a retracement. We want to wait for a retracement to come back into the area that started that impulse. That area that started that impulse will most likely contain either a point of interest, a level of imbalance, or a newly break of structure area. As price comes back to mitigate that area, that will be your chance to get in for another impulse and continue the trend to either the upside or the downside. Hope you enjoyed this video. There was a lot of nuggets in this one. As always, please feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. Share with your friends, family members, any trader that may need this.